You cannot see Bluetooth. You cannot hold it. You cannot point to the factory where it is made because there is no factory. No single company manufactures it, no government controls it, and no CEO decides who gets access to it. It runs inside your phone, your car, your hearing aid, your laptop, the speaker on your desk, the lock on your front door. 5 billion devices ship with it every year, and the name on it belongs to a Danish king who died in 986 AD. His name was Harald Blåtand, Harald Bluetooth. He ruled Denmark for nearly 3 decades, built stone fortresses across the country, converted his people to Christianity, and united the warring tribes of Scandinavia under one crown. Then his own son led a rebellion against him. Harald fled south and died somewhere in what is now Poland, in a village no one remembers, alone. 1,000 years later, an engineer at Intel read a novel about him on a plane and suggested his name as a temporary code name for a wireless protocol being developed in a Swedish laboratory. The name was supposed to last a few months. Nobody changed it. Today, the runic initials of a 10th century Viking king are stamped onto the circuit boards of 5 billion devices a year. The company that built that protocol is Ericsson. You have heard of Sony Ericsson, the slim silver phone in your pocket in 2007. You have not heard of Ericsson. Most people never have. That is the point. For 148 years, Ericsson has been the thing underneath the thing, the infrastructure, the layer nobody sees. In 1876, Lars Magnus Ericsson was 30 years old, living in Stockholm, and had almost nothing. He was born in Värmland, a rural county in western Sweden, in a family with no money and no connections. His father died when he was 11. He worked through his adolescence, saved enough for 2 years of electrical engineering training in Germany, workshops, not universities, and came back to Stockholm with precise hands and almost nothing in his pockets. He rented a room on Drottninggatan, Queen Street, in the center of the city. 6 employees, a telegraph repair shop. That was the entire business. In 1878, he saw a Bell telephone for the first time. He picked it up, turned it over, opened it, and understood it. He built his own version. He improved the microphone. He improved the handset. He began selling it in Sweden without a license, in direct competition with Bell Telephone Company, one of the most powerful corporations in the world. Bell sued. The Swedish government was lobbied. Every legal and political tool available to a large American corporation was deployed against a man with 6 employees and a rented room. Lars Magnus Ericsson did not stop. By 1883, more Swedish homes had an Ericsson telephone than a Bell telephone. By 1900, Ericsson was exporting to Russia, Britain, Australia, and Mexico. The repair shop on Queen Street had become one of the largest telephone manufacturers on Earth. Lars Magnus Ericsson died in 1926 at the age of 80. By then, his company operated on 4 continents and employed thousands of people. He had never taken the company public. He had never sought a partner or an investor. He had started with telegraph repair and arrived at a global telecommunications manufacturer. What he had built was not a brand. It was infrastructure. And that distinction between being visible and being essential would define everything that followed. For the next 60 years, Ericsson did something unusual for a technology company. It did not compete for the customer. It competed for the network. Switches, exchanges, transmission equipment, the invisible hardware underneath everything. While other companies put their names on products people could hold, Ericsson put its equipment inside the infrastructure that made those products work. It was a slower business, a quieter business, and a far more durable one. While other brands competed on price, on retail placement, on advertising budgets, Ericsson competed on being indispensable. And indispensable is very hard to replace. In 1956, Ericsson released the MTA, the Mobile Telephony System A, the world's first mobile telephone system. It weighed 40 kilograms and could only be installed in a car. There were 125 subscribers in all of Sweden in the first year. But it worked. A phone call made without a wire in a moving vehicle. The principle was proven. In 1981, Ericsson and its Nordic partners launched NMT, the Nordic Mobile Telephone Network, the first fully automatic cellular system in history. A mobile call that moved between towers without a human operator switching the line. You could drive across Sweden and your call would not drop. Every mobile network on Earth today, 3G, 4G, 5G, is built on that principle. In 1991, Ericsson sat at the center of the team that wrote GSM, the open global standard for mobile communication. Ericsson wrote the rules, then sold the equipment that ran on them. The same move, executed again and again across 5 decades. In 1994, a Dutch engineer named Jaap Hartsen, working in Ericsson's research laboratory in Lund, Sweden, was given a narrow assignment. Eliminate the cable connecting a mobile phone to a laptop, the RS-232. The serial cable that every traveling professional in 1994 carried coiled at the bottom of their briefcase, tangled with their power adapter and their spare batteries. Hartsen called his project ShortLink. He wanted a radio connection that worked over 10 meters, consumed almost no battery, and cost almost nothing to add to a chip. It took him 2 years. By 1996, it worked. That same year, representatives from Ericsson, Nokia, IBM, Toshiba, and Intel met to discuss turning Hartsen's protocol into an industry standard. They needed a name, not for the technology itself, just for the working group. A temporary label. Jim Kardak, the Intel engineer in the room, had been on a long flight 2 weeks earlier and read The Long Ships, a historical novel about Vikings. At the meeting, he suggested calling the group Bluetooth after Harald Blåtand, the king who unified Denmark, as a placeholder. The 2 serious candidates, PAN and RadioWire, both fell through. PAN was already in use. Intel filed for the RadioWire trademark too late. Bluetooth stayed. The logo, 2 runic letters, H and B, the initials of Harald Blåtand in the ancient Norse alphabet, merged into a single mark, was designed in a single evening and has not changed since 1998. Jaap Hartsen was nominated for the European Inventor Award in 2012. He received a standard Ericsson engineering salary for his work. No royalties, no equity, no stake in the technology he had spent 2 years building in a lab in Lund. The Bluetooth Special Interest Group, the nonprofit consortium that now governs the standard, collects licensing fees from thousands of companies and funds the development of the next version of the protocol. Hartsen is not on the board. The Viking king got the logo. The engineer got a certificate. In 2000, the dot-com crash hit the telecom industry harder than almost any other sector. Ericsson's stock fell 90% in 18 months. The company that had 107,000 employees at its peak cut 60,000 jobs in under 2 years. It nearly stopped existing. It survived by merging its phone division with Sony. Sony Ericsson produced some of the best designed handsets of the 2000s, genuine competitors to Nokia and Motorola, phones that people remember. Then the iPhone arrived. Sony Ericsson fell behind and could not recover. In 2012, Sony bought out Ericsson's share of the joint venture. Ericsson left the phone business permanently and returned to what it had always been: infrastructure, base stations, network equipment, the invisible layer that nobody sees and everybody needs. Bluetooth nearly died too. In 1999, the consensus across the industry was that Wi-Fi, faster, longer range, better for data, would make it obsolete within 3 years. The analysts agreed. The trade press agreed. Several of the companies that had helped found the Bluetooth SIG quietly shifted their attention elsewhere. It did not happen. Bluetooth found its niche: 10 meters, low power, instant pairing, no network required. And in 2010, Bluetooth Low Energy transformed it into something no one had originally planned for: wearables, medical sensors, AirPods, smart locks, industrial monitoring systems, 5 billion units a year. The technology that everyone agreed was finished became the connective tissue of the physical world. Then came 2019. Ericsson pleaded guilty in United States federal court. Over more than a decade, the company had paid bribes through shell companies, fictitious consulting contracts, and intermediaries in 17 countries: Iraq, China, Vietnam, Indonesia, Kuwait, Djibouti. The payments went to government officials, military officers, and procurement managers to secure telecom contracts that Ericsson could not win on merit alone or was not willing to risk losing. Total corrupt payments, more than $1 billion. The fine? $1.2 billion, one of the largest corporate criminal penalties in the history of the telecommunications industry. In 2022, court documents revealed that in Iraq, during active armed conflict, Ericsson had used payment routes that investigators believed may have passed through intermediaries connected to ISIS. The company needed to move equipment through territory the organization controlled. It made payments. It kept its contracts. To whom exactly those payments ultimately went remains a matter of legal dispute. The company disputes the framing. But the question is now part of the public record, and it is not going away. Somewhere right now in a hospital in Jakarta or a car in Munich or a construction site in Sao Paulo, a Bluetooth connection is active. A device is transmitting data wirelessly over a distance of less than 10 meters on a protocol built by a Dutch engineer in a Swedish laboratory in 1994, named after a Viking king at a meeting in 1996, and owned by no one. The engineer who built it earned an engineer's salary. The king who lent it his name has been dead for 1,000 years. The company that made it possible is under a deferred prosecution agreement with the United States government and is still building the backbone of the global mobile network. The name still glows blue on every device you own. The network still runs. The bills are still being paid. That is Ericsson, the repair shop that became the mobile world, the company that nobody talks about. That is the full story.